Hey everyone, I'm going to be going over how to make a proper IK leg, a basic one with a little bit of advanced controls. So what that looks like, on this character here that I'm working on, you can move the leg like so without having to rotate every single individual joint, move it left and right, rotate it around. You have the pull vector right here. If you move it left and right, the knee will point towards it, very, very useful. And then finally, we have a few controls here with the ball roll control, where if you increment it up, it'll make the ball roll, and then if you go a little further, it'll put it on its little tippy toes, very useful. And if you go all the way to -5, it'll put the heel back, also very useful. In addition to that, I've also added a foot lean, so you can lean it to the left and the right, very, very fun. This is in Maya 2022. I'm personally using Maya 2020 for this. So let's get started. So we're going to start off, I'm going to hit spacebar to bring us into this 4-person view. We're going to go to side X, hit spacebar again, and we're going to be in this little orthographic view, so we're not in 3D view. So what we're going to want to do, I have this special menu set up, but I'm going to use the top windows here. That way no one gets lost. We're going to go to the top left here, set it to rigging. Then we're going to go to skeleton, create joints. Now here's the important part. We're going to hit X. X snaps it to the grid, whatever you're placing or moving. So we're going to hold X during this. We're going to hold and then left click, so you can see it snaps to this point. I'm going to click on another point. This will be the knee. Go down here. This will be the ankle. This will be the ball, and this will be the toe end. So now we have this basic leg. It's a little jank. It's not anatomically correct, but you know, it's what we're going with. So just for organization's sake, if you don't have this window open on the left here, you can press this button right here to open up the outliner. If you can't find it there, you can go to Windows and then Outliner. Very useful menu. So you can see we have our joints in here. You can hit this plus to sort of see everything that it's parented to. So we're going to rename this to thigh. We're going to rename this to knee. Rename this ankle, ball, and toe. Okay, so from there, we're going to hit spacebar again, and then hit spacebar over this perspective camera. So now we're back in this view, and we have our nice little leg. We're going to go up to skeleton, create IK handle. We're going to click on the thigh, and then immediately click on the ankle. And now you see we've created this nice little IK handle. This IK handle actually allows us to move the foot around like this, and that's your basic IK handle. But technically you can animate that way, but we're going to do it the proper way, and we're going to make this better. So we want to create a foot control. So what is a foot control, right? You can see here on this character, the character has these things called controls. This allows us to animate them while keeping all of the values at a sort of default state. Why is this important? So say if I were to take a ton of these controls and just mess around with them, really screw this character up, right? We could take all of the ones we affected, scroll all the way down here and hit 0, and boom, it resets. So that's why we make controls, because on the other one, joints, they always have a certain value to them that you can't really change. You can't freeze the transforms. You can't zero them out. You can see that they have, translate Y14, translate 5 here, messy. Same thing with the IK. You generally do not want to be doing stuff like that to these sort of things. So that's why we make controls. So we're going to go to create NURBS primitives and then circle, and we'll create this circle on the ground. We're going to go to the outliner. We're going to rename this foot space CTRL for control. Very good. While we're at it, we're going to rename the IK handle we created right here. We're going to rename it ankle IK. So now we want to click on our NURB control. We're going to hit F8. F8 creates component mode. I'm going to click drag to highlight these specific points. We're going to hit W, and then we're going to move it over here. I'm going to hit R to scale, and then scale it up. That way we have this sort of foot shape, You can get creative with this, do whatever you want, but once you're done, you hit F8 and it becomes a control again. Don't worry about freezing this. It's already frozen right here. Component mode does not affect the actual scale. It just affects where the vertices are. From there, we're going to take this IK and we're going to middle mouse, click and drag over the foot control. So now it's underneath foot control. So what this does is now we have the foot within this. We can control the IK with this foot control better. So we're going to go back to skeleton, create IK, click on the ankle joint, and then click on the ball joint. Great. Now we're going to hit G to use the same tool again. Click on the ball, and then click on the toe point. Very good. We're going to rename these IK handles. So this one right here, IK handle 1, we're going to call this ball IK. We're going to call this one right here toe IK. Great. So from here, now that we have all this set up, I moved all of this underneath the foot control, all of the IKs. We're going to take the ball, control, click the ankle to select multiple things. We're going to hit Control G to group them. I'm going to rename this to ball pivot piv. I'm going to call it piv group. So now if you hit W, you can see that the pivot's here, but this isn't exactly a ball roll. So what we're going to want to do is hit D while we're in the move tool, and it changes to the spherical version. We're going to hold V, select this yellow point, and snap it right here. So what that did is it just took the group and it changed its pivot point. Now we can move the ball like this. See? Great. We're going to take the toe IK and we're going to hit Control G, make a new group with it in it, and we're going to call this toe tap GRP. And same thing, we're going to hit D and we're going to move that point to the ball point. So now if we select, so now you can see if we select this group, it'll move everything like a ball pivot. And if we click on toe tap group, it'll create this little toe tap we can have, right? Wonderful. So now from there, we're going to take both of these groups. So click, control click, the other one, Control G. We're going to call this toe pivot group. This allows for sort of tippy toe that we saw earlier. So hit D on the move tool, hold V to go into snap mode, and drag it onto the toe. Great, 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 great. So now, if we rotate this specific group by clicking it in the outliner, it'll put it on its tippy toe. Wonderful. So now you can see we run into a problem here. When you do it there, the leg freaks out. It goes, and it turns into a velociraptor. Now we don't want that. So what we need to do now is create a pole vector. So we're going to go to Create Locator. And it creates this locator. So we're going to click on this. We're going to go to the Move tool, hold V, and it'll shift to a circle little gizmo. We're going to click and drag it to the knee. That way it matches perfectly to the translation of this knee. And then we're going to move it out in front of it. Once it's out here, we're going to go to Modify, Freeze Transforms. And that'll make everything nice, zeroed out, scale, perfect size. So from there, we're going to take this locator. We're going to call this leg pole vec for pole vector. So what is a pole vector? So we select this locator, and then we go down here, and we select the IK. It should be the thing jutting out of the ankle. And from there, we go to Constrain Pole Vector. So what this just did is it made it so that the knee follows this little locator. So this mainly works for IK systems. From there, now that we have fixed that, you can see that we can take the toe pivot group, move it up, and it won't freak out because the knee knows it has somewhere to point to, which is this point. So it's kind of telling it where it should look. Okay, cool. So now we're going to get all of this. We're going to get the toe pivot group. We're going to click it. We're going to hit Control G. Call this heel pivot GRP. We're going to do the thing we were doing before. D, snap it to here, and then hold X instead of V this time, and move it down, and snap it to the grid. X allows you to snap to grid points like we did before. And now this group allows you to do a little heel pivot. See? Very nice, very nice. So now that we have that out of the way, we're going to do something a little complicated, right? We're going to create foot leans. So what we're going to do is we're going to deselect everything. You can click into the void to deselect everything. Hit Control G, and you'll make a group called null. You can see it right here. Click out again, hit Control G again, and we have two nulls. You can't really see them in the scene view. That's because they're just a point in space. They're not a physical thing. So what we're going to do is we're going to call this outer, foot lean. We're going to call this inner foot lean. Great. So we're going to take this outer and inner foot lean. So we're going to take outer foot lean, and we're going to, using this square here, so fun little gizmo here, you can see that there's 3 squares. If you click on this squares, it'll only move it along this axis and this axis. So we're going to click this because we don't want it to go up on the y-axis. We're going to move it to an approximation of where the outer part of the foot will be. We're assuming that this is like someone's left leg. And then we take the inner foot, and drag that to over there. Once we've done that, we're going to go into here. We're going to put inner, middle mouse drag it over outer, open this up, and then we're going to take heel pivot group, and we're going to put it under inner. And then just because I took it out on accident, we're going to take the outer and we're going to put it under foot control. And voila, we have a nice little system. So you can see now that the foot stays in place. It doesn't rotate all over the place like it used to. And now we have all of these fun little groups that we can do. So we have outer lean, and it moves the group like this. Inner, moves it like this. Heel pivot, like this. Tap. Oopsie. That's not right. Oh, sorry. Toe pivot. Right. Toe pivot group. It goes like this. Toe tap. And ball pivot. So now we're going to make those attributes that I showed at the beginning. Great. So to create attributes, click on the foot control. Have your channel box up. If you see something that looks like this, you're in attribute mode. So hit Control A, or it's located on the side right here. So select the foot control, go to Edit, Add Attribute, and this menu should show up for an attribute menu. We're going to create a long name. We're going to call this ball roll. All right. The data type is float. That's fine. We're gonna make the minimum -5. We're gonna make the maximum 10, and it's important that the default is 0. And then we hit Add, and you can see right here, the ball roll attribute is now there. So, what do we do with this, right? So we're gonna set this menu here to animation. We're gonna go to key. We're gonna go to set driven key, and then make sure to hit this square right here, and open up set driven key. These settings. This looks intimidating, but I promise it's not that bad. So select the foot control again, load the driver, and now in the outliner, select heel, and I'm control clicking here. Control click tap, toe, and ball, right? And we load driven. So let me explain what's going on here. So basically, we are using set driven key to dictate what happens at each value of the ball roll, amount, right? And then it's similar to keyframing if you've ever done animation in Maya. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna select, so I'm gonna select this, and I'm gonna select ball roll, then I'm going to control click all of these groups, and then I'm going to control click all of their rotations, because we want ball roll to dictate the rotation, and we're gonna hit key. So the default state of the foot control is 0, and we want it to look like this. So we're gonna set this to 5, and at 5, what do we want to happen? We want the ball to sort of roll a bit. So we're going to go and click on ball pivot group, and we're going to rotate it with using E in the rotate gizmo. We're going to go about there. You can use your best judgment for this, and we're going to key everything. See, everything's keyed. So now we're going to want to select the foot again, set this to 10 right here. You can do that either by middle mouse. What I just did there was I clicked ball roll and I middle mouse dragged, but you can set it to 10 inside here in the channel box too if you just click on it. So at 10, we want the ball pivot to be 0. And then we want the toe pivot. Oh, I noticed that I called this tap pivot. My bad. Toe pivot. And we're going to rotate this up like this on its tippy toes, just like that. And we're going to hit key again. Oh, what's going on here? Ah, I see. Because I renamed it, it got a little confused. So we're going to select everything again and load drivers. We're going to key this. Oh, sorry, my bad. I gotta select everything here again. Key this. And just to make sure we didn't break anything, we're gonna set this to 5. It seems okay. So now that we've keyed that, you can see here we've created this system. So from 0 to 10, it moves it. The computer does all the movement for you. We've just said at 5, you see, at 0, it's like this. At 5, we want it to be like this. And at 10, we want it to be like this. And then the computer figures out the rest. So now we want to do -5. Okay, so now we want to do -5. So set ball roll to -5. And then we're going to go to heel pivot, and we're going to rotate this back a bit, and then hit key. And there you go. Now we have a functional ball roll control. Set this to 0. Now very quickly, we're going to select the foot control, and we're going to create a new attribute. We're going to call this one foot lean. So we're going to set this minimum to -10, maximum to 10. Add. Boom. So now it updates. We're going to switch foot control over to foot lean. And now we want to load a new driven. So we're going to click and control click inner foot lean and load driven. Control click both of these, and then control click all of their rotations. And then key, because we're in the default pose, because right now foot lean is at 0. At 0, we want it to be doing this. So at 10, we want it, let's just say we want it to go to the right. So we're going to take the outer foot, we're gonna rotate it like this. Let's say, if we want to be precise, negative 70. And then we're gonna key that. And then set foot lean to negative 10. We're gonna go to the inner foot. We're gonna rotate it again, instead of negative 70, 70. And we're gonna key that. And voila, we now have a functional foot lean. Very, very easy. So you can see how set-driven keys, especially in rigging, super valuable. You can do this with meshes, you can do this with tons of other stuff in animation. It's a very, very powerful tool. And there you go. You have your fully functioning IK leg with some neat little tricks and toys that you can play around with. See? Similar to what we had before. Test everything out again. Ball roll, foot lean, voila. And that's been your sort of crash course in a little simple, sort of intermediate IK leg. Thank you for watching.